Yo, what's up guys? So in this video, I'm going to show you 5 of the best marked decks, part 3. If you're new to Magic and you're watching this video and you don't know what a marked deck is, basically it's a trick deck of cards, and on the back of the card it tells you what the card is just by reading its name on the back of the card. I've already done 2 videos doing the top 5 best marked decks, and those videos you can catch down below. So here's another best 5 marked decks that you can get, or at least some of my favorites. And what I'll do in this video is show you what the markings look like, and I'll show you a trick with a marked deck at the end of after I show you them. Let's get into it. Okay, so these are in no particular order, but I have to go with my favorite out of the bunch first. And this is my own Mantis deck. It was created and designed alongside my good friend Manel, and this right here is just a prototype, but the actual deck will be available in spring of next year. And I just love these cards. They are inspired by classic decks, you know, vintage looking decks of cards. And here's a closer look at this card, so you can take a closer look at this. Look how beautiful this deck of cards is. Now, if you know where to look for markings on a marked deck, then you'll probably know right now that this card is indeed the King of Clubs. Okay, so the Mantis markings are very simple to read. If you know how to read a marked deck, then you'll know right away that this is the 8 of spades. You can see right there is the 8, and right above it is an S for spades, the 8 of spades. Here's another one. One you saw before just now is the King of Clubs. There is the K for King, sorry, and a C for Club. And up next we can do another one. Here we have the 7 of Diamonds. You can see a 7 there, and a D for Diamonds, and that's how they are marked readers. So next up we have the Pioneers playing cards, created by Illusionist playing card company, and these are probably my favorite cards that Illusionist has ever produced. They just look like the deck of cards I love using, classic looking normal deck of cards. And I think the reason why I love these cards so much is because they remind me of one of my favorite decks also, which is the Bicycle Fanback card. You can see that there's a very close resemblance between these two. And the best part is these are fully marked, they are reader backs, and here's a closer look at what the marks look like. Okay, so the Pioneer deck is kind of the same situation as that Mantis deck. You can see it right here. This is the Jack of Diamonds, so you can see right there is the J for Jack, and the D for Diamonds, the Jack of Diamonds. Here's another example for you. The 2 of Clubs, so you can see the 2 right there, and then that C is for Clubs, the 2 of Clubs. Here's another example if you want to see one. Here is the 10 of Hearts, so you can see the 10 right there of Hearts, the 10 of Hearts. I don't know what card stock these are on, but these feel absolutely amazing, and I highly recommend picking up one of these decks. So next up we have the Jerry's Nuggets Monotone series marked playing cards. These monotone Jerry's Nuggets also come in red and blue, but the red and blue are only marked for the suit. The felt green that I'm using right now is marked for suit and value, which makes it my favorite out of the series. So this is the first deck in this video that uses a coded system. The first 2 that I did uses a reader system, which is just the number and letter, or the number and the shape of the suit. This uses a code, or sort of the design of the card itself, to tell you what the card is. And let's take a closer look at how to read this deck. So like I said, the Jerry's Nuggets are coded, and if you look closely, and the little, I guess, bars up here, the very top one is bolder. You can see it clearly. That is bolder than the rest of the little bars here, right? That very top one is the boldest, which gives us the ace. All right, so if you move on to 2, the one right below that, you can see This one right here is boldest, so it'll give you, get that in focus, and give you with the 2. All right, so just like that one, the third one down, so you can see right here, that third one down is boldest, so it'll give you a 3. And at first, when you play around with this deck, you know, it seems like you might have to look at it for a while, but maybe you do, but that's just practice and how to decode the deck. But once you play around with it and you just glance at it, and you'll become familiar with it, almost like memorizing what the cards are. And I gotta be honest, I typically hate coded decks, but I love this one. It's very easy to do once you become familiar with it and you play around with it for long enough. And it takes a little bit of practice, but it's worth the practice, because how could this be marked? You know what I mean? So to determine the suit, it's just like the system here, where one of them is thicker than the other ones. However, it'll be around where it says Jerry's, this kind of oval shape here, as will tell you the suit. So this card is a club, and the way you tell that is because the top section, the top part of this little shape, is thicker than the rest, and that tells you that it's the club. Next, if the whole entire shape is thick, you can see the difference here between the two. Only the top one of this club is thick, but the entire shape of this one is thick, so that'll tell you that it's a heart. Now for spades, the entire shape will just be thin. There won't be any thick parts about it, which will tell you that is a spade. And for diamonds, as you can see, the bottom portion is thickest, and that'll tell you that it's a diamond. And like I said, it'll take a little bit of memorization and a little bit of practice, but it's so worth it, because this deck of cards is marked in such a way that nobody's ever going to know that it's marked, and it's definitely worth the practice and the investment. So next we have the Phoenix marked deck, and this is a reader back. So again, it's just the letter of the suit and the number of the values. So this is one of my favorites, because the Phoenix back is becoming more of a standard nowadays in Magic. I mean, the Phoenix deck just looks like a normal deck of playing cards, and the Phoenix brand comes with all sorts of different gaff decks, like stripper decks, some golly decks, any kind of trick deck, you name it. This is a marked deck, and let's take a closer look at how to read these bad boys. Okay, so the Phoenix deck, look how easy this is. It'll be right here in this area right here. You can see it. It's the 4 of clubs. Very simple. And for left-handers like me, it's even better. It's great because it's also right over here on the other side. So when I spread through the deck like this on the table, I can see the marking there. And of course, it's on the opposite side as well. Drop the 4 of clubs. It's on both sides. So left and right. And left and right here, whichever way you turn the card. And of course, if you look at this card, you'll know that this card is the 5 of diamonds. Next up, of course, we have the Queen of Spades, and it's very simple to read. I mean, look at it. It's just the Queen of Spades. It's the Q and the S for Queen of Spades. You get it every time. Look how simple that is, and easy to read. I mean, even from a far distance, you'll be able to get them. You can't go wrong with a Phoenix deck, and just a normal deck of Phoenix cards is about the same price as a deck of Bicycle, but if you want to go for the marked deck, a little bit more pricey, but it's well worth it. I mean, this is one of the best marked decks that you can get. So next we have the Pina deck by Butterfly Playing Cards and Victor Pina. So this is a coded system, but just like the other ones that were very easy, this also is very easy. I normally don't like a coded marked deck, but there are some that are easier than others, and this is definitely one of the easiest. I love the simplicity of how this deck of cards looks. I mean, I love pineapples anyway, so this deck of cards is right up my alley. Now, it's not really my duty to tell you how to read this deck of cards, how to read the codes, but what I can tell you is that if you're familiar with how to read the markings on the Butterfly deck, then this is basically the same thing. It's created by Andre, who designed the Butterfly deck and the markings he did on this deck. So it's basically the same thing. So if you can do the markings on the Butterfly, you can do the Pina deck. Now, I know I did the butterfly deck on the last video, but I just got to give another shout out to Butterfly. This is one of the best marked decks that you can get, especially the Workers Edition. I mean, come on, just look at the cards. Look how pretty they are. I just love this deck, and the Workers Edition has become my new favorite. Not just a marked deck, but deck of cards in general. So that was the 5 best marked decks for you, but there is one more deck that I want to show you as sort of an honorable mention for this video, because I just love this deck of cards. I love the whole project behind it, and I love the creator of this deck. What I'm talking about, of course, is Cube 52 by Craig Petty. Now, I love this deck, and like I said, I love the whole project, and when you buy this deck, you get 9 hours, 9 hours of tutorials of tricks you can do with this deck. What the deck is a sort of a speed cubers deck of cards that goes along with a Rubik's Cube. And the best part is you don't have to even have a Rubik's Cube. You don't have to know how to solve a Rubik's Cube at all. You can do so much magic with this deck of cards. It's insane. And of course, they are marked for color, and it's probably the easiest marked deck I've ever came across to read. For instance, here we have white, yellow, green, green, orange, orange, green, red, orange, green, green, white, and so on. It's so easy to read. It's insane. And think of how many tricks you can do with this. I mean, imagine tricks you can do, tricks using an ESP deck. Well, this is an ESP deck. You can, instead of using symbols, you just use colors. Imagine tricks like maybe matching the cards, you know, mates, or 4-of-a-kind tricks, or oil and water. I mean, this deck of cards is so inspiring. Alright, so here's a really cool trick you can do with a marked deck of cards. Alright, so here I have a joker, and we'll get back to this here in a moment. For now, I'd like you to shuffle the deck of cards, so get them all nice and random so that nobody can know where any cards are. Alright, so what I'll do now is take the joker and put it somewhere secret face up in the deck. But I don't want you to see where I put it, so I'll go under the table and I'll put it just somewhere, maybe right here is a good spot today. Alright, so take the deck, and just so in case anybody saw anything, take a few cards off the top of the deck and put them on the table. Now look at the top card, the one that you just cut to, and commit it to memory. Alright, so they do that. Your back is turned so you couldn't see what's happening at this point, and so they do that. And now cut the cards you're holding so your card goes somewhere in the middle of your half, and then they put the cards back on top of everything, and they can even give it a cut if they want, just to really make things lost. Now, you take the deck now and you say, look, sometimes when I do this, people sometimes think that there's maybe more than one joker in the deck, but I assure you, there's only one joker in the deck. You can see for yourself that there's only one joker. Now look, I want to stress that because when I do this, people think I'm using extra cards or extra jokers, but I'm not. Watch. If I take the joker and I just take a listen, you know, I didn't see anything, but the joker did. Since he was face up, he can tell me exactly what your card was. If I listen closely, he tells me that your card was the 6 of clubs. Is that correct? They say yes, they freak out, but what the joker also told me is where your card was. I couldn't have known anything. My back was turned the whole time, but the joker saw everything. This Mantis saw everything. In fact, he just told me that your card is exactly 7 down in the deck. I take the deck and just count 7 cards. So they do that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. They take a look, and of course it is their card, the 6 of clubs, at number 7. Okay, so it's basically self-working. I mean, well, it is self-working. You don't have to do anything. So what you do is you need a joker for the deck. And it's a marked deck, obviously. So what you'll do is take the joker out and put it face up on the table and just have them shuffle the deck as much as they want to. Now, what you do when you go to put the joker in face up, and you say you have to do it in secret because you don't want them to know where you put the joker, you actually put it 7 from the bottom. All right, and an easy way to do that is put it face up on top and just count over 3, 2, 1 like this, and then cut the deck there. So you're just counting cards, you're going 3, 2, 1, and cutting the deck. So now that Joker is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cards from the bottom. So when you do that, I mean, you can do it behind your back or under the table or whatever, just as long as they don't see, right? So now you turn your head and they do all this while your back is turned, and you say, just in case anybody saw anything, cut some cards off and put them on the table, just in case, somebody saw a glimpse of a card. And that makes no sense, but it sounds very fair. And just by them having to cut a few cards, it ensures that they won't cut below that Joker here in a moment. So when they cut some cards to the table, you have them take a peek at this top card that they just cut to here, which in this case, it'll be the 7 of diamonds. But obviously you can't know that at this point. So now you will have them cut the deck, cut the cards they're holding, and to bury their card. And what that does is put that Joker setup right above their card. So now below the Joker, their card is now 7 away. Will be 7 away from the Joker. So they take a peek at their card, ask them to put it back on top there and cut the deck so their card gets buried in the middle. That's what you tell them. And so that setup is attained. And so now you just have them put all the cards on top of the ones on the table, have them give it a cut or two, just like this, to make sure everything is lost. And I would recommend having them give the deck 2 cuts, because on the first cut, that'll be way down there in the bottom of the deck. So one more cut after that first one will bring it more towards the center of the deck. So now you need to peek the card that they cut to. In this case, it'll be 7 away from the Joker. And just like you did that 3, 2, 1 earlier, you'll do that same thing under the guise of just showing them, look, I'm just using one Joker. There's only one face-up Joker in the deck. So what you'll do is you'll spread through like this and drop all the cards above the Joker, put that Joker there, and say, look, it really is the only Joker in the deck. And when you do the 3, 2, 1, take a peek at that card. In this case, it's their card, obviously, the 7 of diamonds right there. And then just do this. Look, it really is the only Joker in the deck. Do your 3, 2, 1, and then take the peek and throw those down. Now square them up and move these aside. And that whole spreading the deck and explaining there's only one Joker really is not important, and there's no heat on it at that point, because really, how could you know anything about their card or where it is when your back was just turned? So what you're about to do is going to seem very impossible, and it's very shocking to the audience. And so you pick up the Joker and you sort of do this joke thing when you come down and listen to it. Say, the Joker tells me, and by the way, you need to say, now my back was turned, so I didn't see anything. I didn't see what your card was or how many cards you cut or anything. But the Joker was face up, so he saw everything. And so you come down and pretend to listen to the Joker and pretend to get information from him and say, he tells me your card is the 7 of diamonds. And of course, they freak out and they think the trick is over. But you're going to shock them again by telling them exactly where the card is. Of course, you know where it is. It's always going to be 7 down from the deck. All right, so now, wait a minute. He's telling me something else. He's telling me your card is exactly 7 down in the deck. So they count 7 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And of course, this is their card every time. Alright guys, so as always, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to watch this video. It means the world to me, and if you learned something new, if you got value out of this video, do me a huge favor, hit that like button and sub to the channel. Until next time, happy practicing. I love you guys.